Good morning. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's been a while since I did a video, and if you haven't subscribed, do so. But I have some things that I'd like to talk about, and it's regarding this whole process that we're going through right now. I think it was about a year ago when I first started trying to warn people that this is what it was all along. Nobody believed me. But I'm going to tell you it's about to get a little worse because the lifestyle that everybody bought into, it was a fairy tale. I mean, think about the stuff you want to go back to, right? The movie theaters and the clubs and, all those places. Don't you know that all that was part of an economy? Don't you see that the economy is being crashed on purpose? It's all designed. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but you need to start listening to more people that were in prison. Because like Malcolm X said, prison to a black man is a university. And when you're in there, the first thing that you learn how to do is look back on your life. And then you start educating yourself. You see these here? You see these? There's not a topic on that wall that I can't refer to that's being taught into those schools right now. And the thing is, I can tell you when they're lying, and they are. You see, I also have a book here on, yes, Introduction to General Organic and Biochemistry. That book right there is a university book. It has every illustration in it, even the breakdown of minerals and preservatives that they put in the food, how it affects your body, what it does to the mind, the level of metals that are in it. Isn't it strange that metal is also what's ran through speaker wires and wireless phones and, yes, the jab. And this is why they want it in everybody. The fairy tale lifestyle that we were living, they wanted it like that. They wanted it just like Alice in Wonderland. They wanted it to be like, what was that, The Wizard of Oz. The fairy tale. You know, why everybody on Facebook is smiling. But when you run into them in person, they're so miserable. That's why I got off of there. I'm going to go and show you something that I put my mind to since I've been home. I didn't realize it was so junky out here, but you're going to have to excuse it. But I started rebuilding my family home after my family had tore it down. And this is what I came up with. Now, if you haven't seen my story on my page and know what my family has done to me while I was in prison, I could have been a bitter individual, came home, been the gangster that I thought I was when I was running the streets. But I didn't. That library saved me. It told me that I had to pay attention and I had to do things for myself. Not only do I have my own food, but I have my own animals that live around here. And when they see me, they're happy, unlike so-called homeboys and family, government, and everything else. I don't need anybody to do anything for me. And that's what I'm trying to get you to see right now. Government is trying to put you on pharmaceutical life support. That's what this whole issue is. As a person, we're valueless now. Do you remember how the black man has always reminded one another that we were three-fifths of a man? I mean, you got to go back and think about the mind who would even construct such a division to lessen somebody as less than human. So, really think about this, people. If somebody can spend money in your name and you have no say whatsoever over how it's spent, and they continue to spend it until they tell you that your generations after you will be paying on it. What is it saying about your value right now? They're saying that you have no value. And so that's what this whole issue is about. You need to be wiped off the board. They're going to replace you with a robot. Isn't that what Elon Musk is advertising right now? The only thing is, people, is that what's next? Are you going to panic when the realization sets in? Or are you going to start trying to get to know each other like you know you should? Because when the reality sets in with everybody, and if everybody panics, your next door neighbor becomes your worst enemy. So what you need to start doing is that if you have room to plant food in pots, or if you have stuff that you can store water in, you should do it. Also remember that your water heater holds up to 50 gallons of water. The water is drinkable. Also remember that the water that is in the back part of the toilet is clean water. So don't panic if lights go out, because this is something that they've done in Venezuela. And if you haven't seen the situation in Venezuela, go and check it out on YouTube. If you want to see what the United States of America is going to look like, go back and look at the Bolshevik Revolution on YouTube. What they did to Russia is exactly what they did to America. In closing, I'm going to say this because too many people are afraid to say it. When Nigerians commit crimes, they're quick to label all of the Nigerians as being some of the best swindlers you can think of. When they wanted to talk about what happened on that date that's coming up, I don't even want to mention it. They make sure that Islam and Arabs come to mind. But I was listening to a video where they were talking about when the Oklahoma City issue came up. They didn't mention much about Timothy McVeigh and his faith. So what I'm going to point out is, who's controlling your banks? If it was Nigerians, don't you think the picture of a black man would be all over the net? Who's controlling the NBA, the NFL, hockey? All of these corporations, go and look and see who owns them. And put the same face with the same name that you would if it was a brother. There was a man in a country right next to Lebanon who was telling all of his people that they needed to come home because eventually the people are going to rise up against them. I wonder why. Are these same people scattered around the world causing the mischief? Aren't they the first country to complete the whole cycle of what they're trying to force upon the world right now? And don't we see that the entire population, Delta swept it over because that's what's in the crap. When those spikes produce like a normal anything in your body, when you catch a cold, you don't know you got it for the first few days. You'd been kissing your wife and everybody. And before you know it, they'd be like, you gave me your cold. That's what's going on. They didn't put a preservative in it. It didn't kicked in, and now it's all over your body, and it's giving it to everybody else, and now you got to come back to get what? A booster. Pharmaceutical life support. Who did they say were the most needed of it in the beginning? The blacks and the Latinos. Right? Now I'm going to say this here. I'm going to straight up tell you. I'm from the streets. I used to bang. I'm not going to let nobody tell me that I have to do something that I don't want to. Even if I was in the gang still. Allah is my leader. He instructs me. And anybody who has a faith, your prophet is your leader. Your book is your guide. And if you are out there doing anything in anyone else's name that is causing mischief, taking lives, causing death, then that becomes your leader. So going back to the pharmaceutical life support issue, if you turn your life over to people for them to become your sustainer, they become your God. And when they become your God, on the day of judgment, you will have to answer for taking another God besides the creator of the world. Assalamu alaikum.